to my channel. I'm Dilly, and this week I thought you might want to know a little bit more about me. Probably don't, but anyway, I'm going to tell you my likes and dislikes of the letter A. You might be thinking, A? The letter A? What is she talking about? Well, what I mean is things that begin with the letter A. Work my way through the alphabet. So I shall tell you what I like, what I don't like, and the reasons why. So one of the things I really dislike, in fact, you could almost say I hate them, are 4 foods that begin with A. They're about the only thing that I don't like in the way of food. You don't get to this size by being fussy with your food. It just so happens that the 4 things that I don't like all begin with A. One is anchovies. I don't mind them if they flavour something, if they're in a stew or something, but on their own, just too salty and horrid. The next thing is apricots. And the reason for that is when I was a little girl, I was obviously misbehaving, and my daddy sent me to bed with no tea. And then he felt sorry for me a bit later on and brought up an apricot jam sandwich, which I ate because I thought I ought to. I remember thinking I really don't want this. I don't feel well, which is probably why I then vomited, and which is probably why I was misbehaving in the first place, because I was coming down with something. But I associated that apricot jam with being sick, so I have never liked apricots since. Aubergines. Ugh. All I think of them is that they've been put in a load of oil and soaked up all the oil, and they're just a big floppy sponge of oil, so don't see the point. And artichokes, much the same thing. They're not much flavour to them. All you do to get anything out of them is dip them in butter and have them. I'd rather have potato with butter, to be honest. So that's my 4 A's that I don't like in the way of food. One of the A's that I love is acers. The trees, acers. They're beautiful. The different colours, the form, their leaves, the way their canopies. They're obviously of the same genus, but they're very different from one another, or can be very different from one another. I love that. It's just a lovely tree. Mind you, I do like all trees, because another one of the things that I love is arboretums, where you can go and see all the different trees. And I am a bit of a tree hugger, and I will go and literally go and hug a tree. I don't know whether everyone can, I can feel the tree, the energy going up through the tree when I hug it. Yeah, I know, I'm mad. I've known it for a long time. It's nothing new. You can't tell me anything I don't know already. Okay, another one of my hates is the letter H. Not the letter per se, but the way British people now tend to pronounce it. If you look in the dictionary, which I know a lot of people don't have dictionaries anymore, all right, look it up on your computer, look it up on your phone. The spelling of the letter H, it is A-I-T-C-H. It doesn't begin with an H. It's not H. Just like M isn't mem and L isn't lel. Just because it's the letter H, it doesn't have to begin with its own letter. And it drives me mad. Even the Americans can say it right. If the Americans can say it right, why can't the British people say it right? What is it with the learning where people are assuming and thinking that it needs to be pronounced H? Drives me nuts. Just saying. Another thing that I don't like is arrogance. I'm all for people who are confident and people who shine, people who are good at something. Great, that's all great. But people who blow their own trumpets and people who look down on other people because they think they're better in any way, well, let me tell you something. You're not. You're not better. I have a phrase that was passed to me. My father-in-law used to say it. I can't use it because it's actually too rude, but I'll give you the gist of it. Everybody sits down when they need to go to the toilet. Okay? We're all the same. No one is any better than anybody else. So arrogance, cut it out. Another thing that I love, animals. Animals of every shape and size, every kind, even the little teeny tiny creatures. They just are. They don't question you. They don't answer you back. They go about their merry way. And as long as you don't interfere with them, which unfortunately man, Homo sapien, does a lot, interferes with their way of life, and then obviously they will react. But if you just leave them to it in their own environment, generally they just get on with their lives. They're beautiful creatures. There are several species that, not dissimilar to man, that act a bit like man. Chimps being one of them. They do kill their own. They do seem to do it just for fun. They don't know why. Maybe that's where Homo sapiens get it from, I don't know. Perhaps that's what we used to be like before we even started, and that's why we're even worse now. But generally, things kill to survive. Yeah, I know, cats kill to play and that sort of thing with the creatures that they killed. But generally, I'm saying generally, animals are, I prefer animals to humans. Hence why I work with dogs. Having said that, on my list of don't like so much are arachnids. Now, I'm not scared of spiders, and as a creature I don't dislike spiders. What I dislike about them is the fact that they come into my house and they make lots of cobwebs everywhere, and I never see any flies in the cobwebs. If I could see that they were catching flies and mosquitoes, which I really do hate, I'd say, okay, you crack on. You have your cobweb up in the corner and you just keep on catching all those horrible things. But I hardly ever see anything in the webs. So all I have is these long traily webs, or very rarely those ones indoors. You can usually get those ones outdoors, don't you? The round, typical web-shaped webs. I get all the dusty webs indoors, so I have to clear them away. So that's why I don't like arachnids, not because I don't like the actual creature. As I say, I don't think there's anything animal-wise that I don't like, apart from flies. Flies, fleas and ticks, that's what I don't like. But that's another story, that's another letter. Another thing that I don't like is asbestos. I've known people who've died from asbestosis. It's a nasty product, harmful. I suppose once upon a time man thought it had its uses, but now trying to dispose of it, well, can't. You certainly can't do it on your own. You have to report it and you have to get specialist people in. Then that costs a fortune, of course. But it can do so much damage. As many inventions of man do. As a child, when plastic was really big in, never did we for 1 minute think about the long-term harm it may cause to the planet, not realising that it would take hundreds upon thousands and sometimes millions of years to break down. But then I suppose that's progress. Anyway, so asbestos, yes, definitely on one of my hate lists. I shall finish with a final like. In fact, it's a love, and it's been a love of mine for many years, and that's architecture. Kind of inherited that love of architecture a little bit from my dad. Obviously I have my preferences, but when I go abroad, I don't just go to things like churches and galleries and so on. I spend so much time walking through the streets, and I'm walking like this and I'm looking at all the different architecture, even if it's just a little old cobbled street. It fascinates me. It fascinates me that the modernity of architecture seems to be heading the way of just boxes, characterless boxes. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that really love the real modern square set shape buildings. But I, for one, think there's been so much more interest in all the architecture in the past. My husband took me to a place in Sussex, which is a place where they have taken buildings down from other areas in the country. They've taken them down brick by brick or bit of wood by bit of wood, transported it to this place.
It's called the Weald and Downland Museum, and it's in Singleton.
It's called the Weald and Downland Museum, and it's in Singleton. And they have all different properties all through the ages, from little mud huts, almost cob huts. They've got Tudor places there, and they've even got a new building that they have created from green oak, which is part of the museum that you can go in, but also they hold classes there and demonstrations and so on. So that's the modern side, but using old techniques to build. It was the most wonderful day for me. Also, they've got people within the properties that will tell you all about them, and there's one of the properties that I went into, and I'm sure there were others there as well, where they have people there doing old crafts, and they will let you have a little go at the crafts as well if you want to. Old ways of making furniture. There's a carpenter there, and he makes musical instruments as well. It was just a fascinating place. If you ever get the chance, go and visit it. It is a lovely day out. Quite a lot of walking involved, but you learn so much about architecture and about the history of this country. So that's it really, my letter A. I probably could find more that I dislike and that I really love. Well, that's it for this Tuesday chat. Hope you can join me next time, and until then, take care.